Lena had always been drawn to the strange and the unexplained. When she found the old chest in the attic, buried beneath a pile of dust-covered books and forgotten mementos, she wasn't afraid. She'd always known there was something hidden in the corners of her family's old house, something no one ever spoke about. It had been passed down through generations, each owner keeping the house, but never talking about its secrets. The box was simple in design. A dark wooden chest with intricate carvings etched into the surface. It was strangely warm to the touch, and the air around it seemed charged, heavy, as if it had been waiting for something or someone. When Lena turned it over in her hands, she saw it, an ancient key, worn smooth by centuries of age, hidden beneath a flap of fabric inside the box. It fit into her palm, as though it had always belonged there, and without a second thought, Lena slid the key into the lock. There was a strange click as it turned, and for a moment, everything in the house seemed to hold its breath. Then the lid opened. The air in the room grew unnatural, naturally cold, and the shadows in the corners of the room seemed to writhe and stretch. Lena's heart skipped a beat, and as she peered inside the chest, she saw nothing but darkness. But that darkness whispered, a voice, low and guttural, filled with a hunger that made her skin crawl. Suddenly, the shadows began to shift, crawling up from the box in twisting tendrils, like smoke from a dying fire. A whisper turned into a wail, a terrible, inhuman sound. Lena stumbled backward, her feet tangling with the remnants of the chest's decaying wood. She could see something now, something moving within the darkness, shifting like living nightmares. The first one emerged. It was a grotesque figure, humanoid but twisted. Its limbs were too long, too thin, like a spider's legs, and its face was a patchwork of distorted features. A mouth that stretched impossibly wide, eyes black as pits. Its body was covered in jagged scale-like growths, some glistening with a sickly sheen of slime. It stepped forward, its movements jerky and unnatural, and then it hissed, a sound that was both a scream and a laugh. And then another followed, and another, and another. There were 20 of them in total, emerging from the box as if it were a gateway to some hellish dimension. Each one was more nightmarish than the last, each more horrific and alien, their forms defying all logic and reason. Some were like twisted beasts with horns and claws. Others were human in shape, but with flesh stretched thin over bones, their hollow eyes searching for a way to feed. Lena tried to scream, but her voice was swallowed by the howls of the creatures. Panic surged through her, but her body felt frozen, as though some invisible force had gripped her in place. One of the creatures reached out a clawed hand and touched her skin, the coldness like the kiss of death itself. Its touch burned with a cold fire, sending ripples of agony through her veins. "Free," it whispered in a voice that was ancient and deep. "Free at last." The creatures spread throughout the house, their presence suffocating, their shadows growing like ink spilled across paper. The walls seemed to bend, the very air vibrating with their malevolent energy. Lena's heart thundered in her chest as she stumbled backward, knowing she had made a terrible mistake. She had released them, 20 monsters, imprisoned for 500 years, and now they were free. Her house was no longer hers, it was theirs. The creatures moved through the halls with terrifying speed, their grotesque forms slipping in and out of the shadows, their whispers growing louder. They hunted her family, each one of them experiencing the cold grip of fear as they tried to flee. But it was too late. The house was alive with terror, with the shrieks of those trapped inside. As the monsters closed in, Lena's breath came in shallow gasps as she ran, but she knew there was no escape. There never had been. She had unlocked the box, released the evil that had been sealed away for centuries, and now it was free to claim its vengeance. In the attic, the box remained open, its lid creaking as if it were laughing in the face of the destruction it had caused. And somewhere in the distance, the monsters gathered in the dark corners of the house, their whispers growing louder, their hunger insatiable. Lena was not the first to unlock the box, and she would not be the last. The monsters were free.